Stop it. Stop taking seduction courses. Somewhere along the way, because seduction and pickup artistry has been institutionalized, it's a thing, you can sign up to it using the information that you know. The information is, I can't get girls, I need to get girls. Here's a system that says we'll help you get girls. Majority of the students that I'm getting right now are graduates from seduction schools. Graduates who are not satisfied with what's going on with them. They have a band-aid that lasts only as long as their community around them and the pep talks and the wingmanning and all the rest. We say, oh, I can't get girls and it's because I'm anxious or I'm too much in my head. This is crap. What's really going on is deep, deep resistance to yourself, deep forms of protection, deep forms of fear of the other, trauma in most cases, feelings of self-doubt that are not even gross. They're not even, oh, I don't feel I'm good enough, until you really, really look. And the trouble is that people do not know how and where to look. I've never come across any student who's really looked at himself, particularly if they've run through another seduction workshop. Somewhere along the way, you've conflated, you've mixed the more primal feeling of not feeling at home. And you've said that seduction schools will help with that. They don't. You need to help yourself fundamentally. You don't know the shadows, the blind spots that are limiting you from being your best self. You don't know them. If you did, you'd heal yourself. So many of the students I have a strong sense of not being good enough. Why? Why would you have any difficulty talking to somebody if you felt absolutely relaxed, absolutely good enough, absolutely at home? These are the concerns that you really have. And there are age-old processes, practices of self-realization. Age-old practices of waking up, of moving beyond the ego. Hard-won worlds of psychotherapy, of trauma release, of shadow work, that without, it is my experience that you will not move through the anxieties you have. Even the coaches teaching these things are only drawn to it in the first place because they're wounded and because they're working through the problems themselves. In other words, we're in a time where there are these institutions that are very pop cultural, very consumable, very easy to sign on to. And all these guys talk about, oh, get you out of your head. No, 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 no. The way to tackle this is so much more refined, so much more subtle. It's like a surgical blade that needs to go in order to see the reflexive anxiety that you have when you're with somebody and break this pattern through real practices. And why is it that seduction classes don't help with that? Because the kind of work to heal yourself of this fundamental interpersonal condition, what I call reflexive awareness. There's just awareness, I see. And there's nobody looking back at me when I see a bench, a bag, a tree. But when somebody's looking back at you, you suddenly see them looking at you. You see yourself being seen. And this creates a tightening, a stiffening. And 90% of the time, this stiffening is only a pattern, a constriction initiated early on in life. Okay? And if and when it's initiated early on in life, it will continue to be repeated unless you do the work to extricate it, to reclaim the sense of being fundamentally whole and complete. Whether that's because you don't feel good enough around authority, you don't feel good enough around a parent, or you experienced bullying in school. There's messages that are going on in your body beyond your own awareness of them, beyond your ability to maneuver through them, because they're so intrinsic now, they're inherent. And unless the work is there, then you're never going to release this. So it doesn't matter how many seduction workshops you do. It doesn't matter. So stop doing them. The coaches cannot help you. You cannot help you, and I cannot help you. Consider yourself lucky that you're listening to this talk, a talk that is about you. It's about healing you so that you can be at home. From ground zero, you take care of yourself. From ground zero, you learn to walk, you learn to talk, you learn to be what you are without any presumptions or pretense. Having healed the initial wound, once this is cleaned up, you have all the tools naturally. You can start teaching yourself, but this cleaning must begin. And the way to clean must be provided for you because you don't realize what you need. None of us can. If we did, we would be healed. Every student that I have thinks that they're coming to get girls, and they realize they came to get themselves. They came to get freedom. And out of that, I cannot tell you the amount of access you have, the increase in attraction when you're unprotected. Isn't it obvious? Everyone knows this. And why aren't you confident? You're not confident because there are these protections. You're constantly protecting yourself for reasons that you're not even, voila. You're not even aware of. It's so inherent. You need to begin a practice that works at the liminal mind. Okay, and for this reason, I finally had the courage to introduce 3 and 4 day Zen retreats to our 30-day workshop. Because in the 3 and 4 day Zen retreats, what happens is the mind really gets massaged down to a place of real authenticity. 10 times faster than normally during a workshop, guys are inclined to see, this is my limitation, this is my fear. And because they can see it, it can be purged. But if you know, oh, I'm just afraid or I'm anxious, I'm just too in my head, it's really a cop-out. Really see what it is to be in your head. Really see what it is to be in your head, to be protecting yourself. And you'll realize that this is an imposter behavior. And when you see this false self, this protecting of something that doesn't need protection, then you stop protecting it. But the mind has to be whittled down beyond the level of your ordinary control. Why? Because you cannot use the existing pattern of thought to uproot the problem, which is your existing pattern of thought. You have to move beyond thought, okay? And all the institutions that are available to you out there for seduction and pickup are only working with your existing thoughts. They're reprogramming or giving you pep talks or telling you that you just need to change your story, your self-talk. The mind has to be whittled down to the bottom of the problem so that you can build something really healthy. Not just improving some scaffolding, putting better windows out there, putting a better air conditioning, putting a better heating system so that you can be hot when you talk to girls. You're not as good as only whatever comes your way. If you were, you'd never, ever, ever be close to happy. You'd only be good as those moments. And you think that's the way you are. You think that's what you need. And that's why you're miserable. The jungle walkers come through, and there's the joy of another human, of a smile, of an interaction, right? Where is that joy in you? Find that joy in you, and that becomes ground zero, down to the bottom of the problem, so that you can build something really healthy. If you're free in yourself, you're automatically free, period. From ground zero, you're in your heart. And your heart heals you. Sometimes you connect with somebody and sometimes you don't. But this base, it's like the master platform. It's primary. So that when I'm talking to somebody, I'm so committed to my own joy, my own happiness, my own comfort, that everything that manifests out of my mouth is just an extension of that. Because the platform is solid, the aircraft carrier that goes everywhere and can dispatch curious, excited, spontaneous, playful, humorous F-14s, and sometimes to Bogies can fly along together and sometimes they go apart, but you always have a home base. And this is what you're looking for. You're looking for the home base so that everything that moves through you is just the wonder of life. And you know who you are. You know what is home. You know what it is to be free. You are it. Don't waste your life. Do the real work. Don't look for little highs, little connections, little wins. Go for the whole thing, the whole hog. When you're at home, everything works out. You'll be the person that you're meant to be. You. Happy, at home, sexual, powerful, clear, free.